Well, good morning, Hope. How
Hi,
are you?
I'm well, Donald. How you doing?
It's
It's so
so good
good
to
to see you.
see you. I know. I'm so glad that we're able to connect in this way. We feel like we have been parallel in the field together for a while. And yeah, what are you up to right now?
Wow, I was just gonna say it's also nice to see you out and about, showing up at at the events where we are celebrating and honoring incredible people in the dance world. What am I doing? I am making work. I have a couple of passion projects that I'm building undercover. They say don't talk about it until it's done.
Yeah, don't face
But
it.
in this world, we have to talk about it so we can get help
Yes.
because we can't do anything alone. I received an incredible final gift from this incredible group. It was an email from you actually
I was like, what?
saying
Who was it?
oh, yeah, it was saying, "Here's a little bit more money to do the thing that we know we trust for you to do," as Chelsea Factory was, closing its final doors, the doors finally, I should say. So that's been a real benefit because it helps me, as it did in the beginning, to create a space to hire young artists or dancers and those who can come help me in my conceptualizing a new work. I recently set a work on Paul Taylor that premiered at the Kennedy Center, and then that will also have its New York premiere in November in their season at Lincoln Center. Saturday, this coming weekend, actually, I'm having the second A Day of Hope, which we
Oh,
did at
amazing.
first at Chelsea Factory. And it's going to be pretty exciting. It's a day-long event, a day of dance, talking about critical issues in dance, diving into industry standards. It's we raised our fee a little bit. It's $25 for the whole day, but lunch is provided and some merch and resource materials, and it offers an honorarium to those who are coming in to speak or to,
Listen,
so I'm just really happy. It's 11 to 5, so that's a really big chunk for 25 bucks, I think.
yeah, no, I mean, that's a deal for lunch, let alone a day of dance. So that's fabulous. And just to give some extra context, so, of course, Hope, international dance icon,
Oh,
choreographer extraordinaire. I had the privilege of being the managing director of Chelsea Factory, where Hope was one of our original resident artists. And so we've been able to work together in the past couple years as Chelsea Factory navigated its pop-up journey, supporting the field post-COVID. And so we ended our programs here this past spring, and one of the final things we were able to do was gift our resident artists with a little bit of extra extra support headed out the door. So I'm so glad to hear that came in handy.
so I mean, we always love money, right? But when someone says, just in case you need it, and it fell right on time, and it's just perfect.
I
But
Yeah.
you and the team at Chelsea Factory though just gave room for us to build. And I say us because it was a broad variety of people who can come in and create work and make work and fail and start
Totally.
again. And that's the biggest, I think, the most important part of being a creator is having people like you who believe in us enough to take the risk. I like to call it the good risk.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that, I mean, it's so a great segue into this conversation, because I think when we're thinking about community and values, like, so much of it really starts at a very personal place of what it means to make a connection with someone and feel like you understand what it is they're trying to do and want to support their work and jump in 2 feet first. And I think, there's a lot of, you know swirling energy. And I think, one of the beautiful things about dance, something I've been doing lately, is working with a dance company, specifically kind of going back to being in leadership with a group of people, which is very different than a building. A building doesn't call you when they miss their flight. So it still is wonderful though, and I think part of what this moment calls for me personally, when I'm defining what community means right now, it is building rooms. What does it mean to have a room full of people that even just for an hour, everything else that's a mess everywhere else is not in that room?
Yes.
And what does it mean to gather and love and joy and move and sweat? And I think it's a very unique part about dance is that it does really require us to sort of be together. And I think in this moment, as we're composing the different rooms that we want to be in, it's a really beautiful way to sort of say, okay, this is what I value, and here's how I'm going to vote with my time by being in community with these people that really fill my cup.
I mean, it's so perfect that you bring that up because when I started working with you all at Chelsea Factory, I was just functioning as, an LLC.
Mm.
And then over this last, I guess it's been a year now, January 2024, I've switched into not for profit, and it's HB Arts Collective. And we have a dual mission. And of course, making work and creating a space in a non-compete environment for artists to come in, not just my work, but to support other work. Our other mission is community building and skill building in a program that I specifically can call The Next. And so we had our first cohort of 8 artists, and they have to show up twice a month for 5 months to a virtual Zoom. We give them an honorarium, because you want to give people incentive to show up. And
Yeah.
everything we do is for them. It's helping them understand what contract languages are, what contract language is. It's helping them to really find themselves. What do you wear to an audition? Why are you going to that audition? Let's really talk about it. Do you want the job, or do you want this job or a job? And giving them a place to meet and build with one another, because the community, sometimes we don't realize we need to know people in other fields and other types and other dances. And one of the dancers, one of the artists who was in The Next yesterday, called and said, I have an industry commercial gig. For me to be paid, I need to send an invoice. How do I do that? I said, call me. And we're on the phone, FaceTiming. I'm doing it not to do it for her, but I'm doing it so that she can see how to function and what's important. And call your bank to make sure this is the correct number so that your account is protected. And then I hang up the phone, and you feel great about the help that you were being able to offer. And then I'm like, well, where did I learn that? Someone taught me that. So I'm passing, it's like I'm a pass through. It's not
Yeah, that's the
because
community.
you know what I mean? Like someone gave that information to me, someone gave me the room to create it. And so that's how we're like stacking community work.
Yeah,
And I
which is
know she's going to help the next person.
100%. And that's such a generous approach too, because what it is really building the pipeline of the next group of leaders. And like,
Yeah.
it's not that it's easy to start, an single choreographer company, but if you wanted, you could just make dances, and the ability to use knowledge as a teaching tool to create community and to create hopefully we get a group of future hopes, like that's like what a pleasure, what a great thing to be doing right now. And especially I think too, being a student is confusing. It has a lot of different nuances to it. It feels fast, it feels short, it feels forever too at the same time.
Right.
One of the organizations I work with, Move NYC, is very similar in terms of how it sets up future dance leaders for access and excellence. And that I think is a really evergreen thing when we're thinking about how we nurture our community, who's coming up, and how can we pass the information that we've learned from greats. And, I mean, I'm sure you have so many different nuggets from all of the different experiences you've been through, and similarly too.
And it's interesting you mentioned that, because what I didn't say was that this particular program is really geared for young people who are graduating from higher learning or second companies. So as Move NYC is helping them go to college and getting them in that range, we are the next bridge. Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
Perfect.
right,
Yes.
like so it's so once again, we're not competing
Yeah.
against anyone. We're just adding to a community that we obviously, Chanel and Nigel, that I remember when they were in high school, that pulled my skin all the way back. But you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
watching these
totally.
young people grow into leaders in the community is unbelievable. Like
Abs-
it's just you sit back with pride, not because you are responsible for them. You're just proud that you know them. You're proud to watch their journeys. And that's
Totally.
what makes it, even better.
Absolutely. And I feel too that the ecosystem has really shifted. I mean, from I mean I started my dance career probably about 20 years ago in New York City, and just the change of what, you know, resources there are. I mean, there and at the same time there's so much more and there's so much less. And so it's so interesting to have gone through and come up during a time that looks and feels very different to now. And so it's like, okay, how can we make sure we sort of piece together what it is that we know? We navigated it before. The terrain is different, but how can we, help make new maps and get people to sort of figure out this moment where not no one really knows what comes next. And I think that resilience, the flexibility, the accountability, all of it is that much more front and center, because really what we have at the end of the day is our word. We have our values. We have our ability to sort of, decide what energy we want to put out in the world. And I can see how difficult that is at almost every stage of the dance career right now, from emerging to middle career dancers to, more established folks.
Yeah.
I think there is a big shift in the way that dance has been funded in the past couple years. I think institutions have really been focusing on giving that is very much, an inch wide but mile deep, and so it has this huge impact on some really great voices. But I think at the same time it feels a little alienating to those who aren't able to receive that support, and which is a change, instead of there being, a lot of support at a smaller level to more people. And so, I think there's just different nuances like that really are sort of calling us into conversation about, okay, how do we make new work? What are the opportunities that do have the most ability to support dancers and dance right now? And at the same time, keep our eyes open and say, okay, who's building what? What's new? What's coming out? Where are the conversations happening about the direction that things are going to go in? And how can we make sure that what people actually need is addressed, as compared to, what a perceived need might be, or really what, the issue in the dance community might be today.
I agree with all of what you said, and I would just like to add that there's one need that we often fail to acknowledge, and that's the need for a truth. Right now, I don't have to like the sometimes I make a ballet and I don't love it, right? Like, and I don't
Happens.
expect the clap. I would love, we love the claps. We want the applause. We want to be liked, right? But we still have to do it for the right reason. It has to be because of us. And I think the only thing to add to that is to remind people how hard this is going to be. To be in a room of people who support you is not this it's not the same compensation as green compensation, but it is compensation.
Yeah.
So to be able to log on and find a webinar about how to build a dance company, that happens, right? At Dance NYC. So that is compensation that might not feel like it's green, but it is helping you move forward. And so if we let people know this is not easy, and you can still you will have to do the work. And one of my new little buzz lines is that waiting is a part of the work, and
Oh, I love that.
you will get there. You just have to know that while you are waiting, you still have to press, you still have to push, you still have to find the why and what you're doing and want it, and then move. And then while you're moving, Kyle Abraham is not Kyle Abraham overnight. Do you know what I mean? Like Camille Brown also went to LaGuardia. Like those
Yeah.
are steps that we forget when we see the glory, right? You have to understand that there is work to it. And
100%.
yes, here are the tasks, and it's going to be hard. Yes, here are the rules, and this is going to be hard. I just feel like that's the last little bit. That's that one thing that I want to always say, this is hard, right? Right. Like,
Absolutely.
and let's do it. right?
Totally.
Like,
Yeah,
and let's not,
and it's
I
gonna
didn't
be
say
fun.
back down. I didn't
Yeah,
say back down. Let's just be real that it might not be as easy as you want it to be. It won't be,
right.
but you can, and we
Yeah.
can, and the support will come, you know.
We can do hard things.
We can do, that's it.
Yeah.
The pandemic was hard.
And I think, it's interesting because, we talk about support for artists, support for dance. And, I think that it's interesting because in many ways it's almost like support for humans. When I think about what it is that the dance field needs, it's like affordable housing, like it is access to space. It is, you know, the infrastructure that sort of makes us able to get up out of the bed in the morning and make your day work. And so, to me, that was when I was starting my career. I danced for a ballet company, Ballet Spanico, for a few years, and then went and got my master's degree at Columbia in arts administration. And during that time is when I found Dance NYC. And that was when I joined the junior committee. And it really was my first taste of what it meant to sort of like be in a room of people where, I always felt like in any sort of scenario when you're with a team, right? Everyone's, their own color. You've got the blues, the reds, the greens, whatever.
Right, right.
And going to Dance NYC Junior Committee was the first time I was like, oh my gosh, we're all greens. It was like everyone sitting around the table like was locked into the same ideas, was dealing with the same issues, and it just felt like a really important way to gather. And I think at the time, I really was so thinking about how what we did at that as that committee, like the external pieces of it, were the panels good, were the engagement good. But what I realize now is that for me personally, like some of my closest friends in the field that I've worked with for almost a decade have come from that. Like there are people that I text daily that are deep parts of my support system that came directly from Dance NYC. And I think that's one of the things that I really appreciate about the programming is that there is a wide range of offerings for you to find your circle of color. Where are the people that are chewing on the same idea as you? Is it about choreography? Is it about management? Is it about, dancing, being an interpreter? Like how do you make it through the day? And so that to me has always been a helpful sort of grounding reminder that you can sort of look a little closer than it seems. Like it feels like everything is so out of reach, and at the same time you're like, what's right here, what's right in my community.
And you know exactly with what you're saying, and I'm going to pun it. Are you ready? Which is the hopeful part of the future of where we are, right? Like, someone asked me once if I live up to my name every day, and I was like, "Yeah, nice try." But the goal is to know that without the idea of the future, without having plans, without um, the longing for more, knowing that we have to work, knowing that we have to strive, we can really do this. And I think that's what really makes me excited because young people that I have surrounded myself with, I even did a senior solo for a dancer. Now that I'm thinking about it, a dancer was graduating from USC, who started to move. Like to me now, knowing that people, our access is not just YouTube. It's great, right? I go there to learn how to change a tire, right?
Yeah.
But the access is not just YouTube. It's being able to understand that the community is here to support us. And I think that the only what I would look forward to even more is to know that we can point people without fear, or hey, you know what? I have a friend. Let me call Donald and he can help you without me feeling like you're going to take that resource or borrow that dancer. Well, why not? Right? You know what? If I can't supply it, Donald can supply it. Donald knows someone. He might have an access. He might have access. Even yesterday, I was talking to someone about working with a dancer who was um whose visa is about to expire. How do we go that? Oh, here's a list, and then I got a text and here's the list of people. Call this person. Like that's what we want. And because this organization does that because there is resource, there is, I love this idea, like I said, of non-compete, you know,
Yeah,
we're just here to help. Let's go
totally.
ahead and seek it as the resource. And then we have to also promote it. I have to
Yeah,
be the person that says, oh, they do
yeah.
that too. They do that too. And we've got to trust one another to be that bridge.
100%. And I think too, even, in celebrating Dance NYC's birthday, looking back at the organization history, I mean, even in recent memory, the pivot that was done during COVID to support our community was insane. I mean,
Right.
it overnight, not overnight, after lots of deep planning sessions and countless hours of work, the organization really, sort of flipped on its head of what it was there to provide for the community. And I think, seeing that beautiful success, and now it's emerging into a new era of equal challenge and change. And I think that is one of the beauties of a service organization, is that it can sort of shift its focus to help us as we move through different times. So I think you're exactly right. I think visa issues is going to be something that we're going to be looking at. I think navigating a new funding landscape, how to maximize the things that are available to us now in a a shrinking piece of the pie, the funding pie that's out there. I think there are lots of different questions when it comes to content of work, what it means to you know really speak with your full voice in a place that maybe is not currently championing the type of people that you either are or support or are of. And I think all of those issues kind of are helpfully centralized at a place like Dance NYC, where that there is an overarching view of the community that isn't just about one company or one artist or one thing, where there's really a feeling of rising tide lifts all boats. And I think that is, if there's anything in my mind that's like a personal mission, it's like, okay, how do we bring the field up in a way that benefits everyone and not just one or two voices. And I think there's a real great opportunity here for Dance NYC to help lead us into this moment of uncertainty. We're having mayoral change, where there's local governments shifting, like state funding. What does that look like? And Dance NYC's advocacy for the community at those levels is like so instrumental. There's no other group doing it. And so to me, I think this is as scary as it is to not know what's next, it also is an opportunity. And if I were to say what I think the future is for dance, I think it's joy. And I think that it's about, in this moment, how do we gather together to smile? How do we use our bodies? How do we feel music? How do we breathe together? What is that feeling of sort of exaltation that you can't get from anything else? And I am so hopeful that there's the ability to have all of these pieces come together to really support this form that right now it's a solve, it's a balm, it's the antidote. And I think that to me is just such a worthy cause to get behind.
It's perfect you're saying that. And you're talking about some of the high level things that are truly important, but they also come in and support at the ground level with those people who may not know how difficult it is to get studio space. Do you know what I mean? At $40 an hour or something like that. So then they're like, oh, well, I need this too. And that's provided because those grants to those organizations, to specific organizations who are subsidizing that thing, as a beginning creator, that is ground level time, space to do the thing that we want. So you're right about the joy, and it is the anticipation of the good that will come from the drama that feels like it's closing in, that dance is breaking it out.
Yeah.
And I think you couldn't have said it any better. Thank you so
And
much.
you're welcome. This is so fun. I mean, I
Yeah.
think, one of the silver linings of this moment is that, love has won before. We've had these fights, and unfortunately we're doing it again, but we've won before. And I
And
think
we're the art form that can do it. We
exactly
truly are the art form that is as accessible as you can get.
a hundred
You know,
percent.
Yeah,
And I think just, too, even in this world of AI and digital, and here we are on Zoom, but I truly believe that the superpower of dance is bringing people together in person. Like there is no substitute for being in the room and getting that feeling when you're watching a dance piece, and just for a moment you kind of, leave everything behind and are swept away. That to me is chef's kiss.
that's it. You said it.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Hope. This has been
Thank
so
you
fun, and
so
happy
much.
birthday, Dance NYC. How
Yes,
exciting!
happy birthday, Dance NYC.
Yay!